Welcome back to the Tamez Lab Startup Series, featuring the hottest startups in the world right now. I'm your host, Tripwire. Today on the show, a company that's revolutionizing AI infrastructure by making open source models run 2 to 3 times faster while slashing costs dramatically. What if I told you there's a dataset sitting out there right now with 258,000 coding agent trajectories? Every single one test verified. Every single one showing exactly how an AI solved a real programming problem. It's called CoderForge, and it's completely open source. The company behind it? Not OpenAI, not Anthropic. Together AI. And they just raised $305 million to do something most people thought was impossible. Make open source AI models faster and cheaper than the closed ones. Think about that for a second. In a world where everyone's building walls around their technology, someone's tearing them down and somehow running faster than everyone else. Here's what makes this interesting. When most companies talk about AI infrastructure, they're selling you access to their proprietary models. Together AI went the opposite direction. They built a platform that runs over 200 open source models, and they made those models run 2 to 3 times faster than what you'd get from AWS, Google Cloud, or Azure. That's not marketing speak, by the way. That's measured inference speed on the same models. The platform they've built handles everything: chat, image generation, audio processing, vision tasks, code completion, embeddings. You can pick from hundreds of models, run them through serverless endpoints if you're testing something, or spin up dedicated infrastructure if you're running production workloads. But the real innovation isn't the model selection. It's what they're doing under the hood to make those models scream. They've developed something called the Together Kernel Collection. Think of kernels as the fundamental operations that happen when you're running AI inference. Matrix multiplications, attention mechanisms, all the math that makes language models work. Together AI rewrote these operations from scratch, optimizing them specifically for the GPUs they're running on. One of their key innovations is FlashAttention 3, created by their chief scientist, Tri Dao. This is the same person who invented FlashAttention in the first place, the breakthrough that made transformer models actually practical to run. What this means in practice? When you're generating text, creating images, or running code completion, you're getting results faster while using less compute. Their customers are seeing 60% cost savings compared to hyperscaler alternatives. A company called Hedra, which does AI video generation, moved their workload to Together AI and handled 300 times more GPU usage while cutting their costs in half. That's the kind of efficiency that changes what you can build. The platform isn't just about inference, though. You can train models from scratch or fine-tune existing ones. They're supporting context lengths up to 128,000 tokens, using techniques like multi-packing and sequence parallelism. They've optimized their training operations to run 24% faster while reducing costs. And when NVIDIA's new Blackwell GPUs came out, Together AI had models running 90% faster than the previous generation within weeks.
Building a new product? Tamez Labs takes you from napkin sketch to the App Store. Trusted by Fortune 500s for quality, security, and speed. Book your free strategy session at tamez.ai.
Here's where it gets more interesting. Together, AI isn't just providing infrastructure. They're actively pushing the state of open source AI forward. That CoderForge dataset they released? It's the largest collection of coding agent trajectories ever made public. The models trained on it are hitting 59.4% on SWE-bench verified, which is a benchmark for how well AI can solve real software engineering tasks. They're not keeping this research locked up. They're releasing it so everyone can build better coding assistants. Their research lab has contributed major innovations to the open source community. Mixture of agents, which combines multiple models for better results. Medusa and Sequoia, which speed up inference. Hyena and Mamba, alternative architectures to transformers. This is a company that's commercially successful while actively making the technology they're selling more accessible to everyone. The problem they're solving is bigger than just making models run fast. Right now, if you want to build with AI, you've got two paths. You can use closed models from OpenAI or Anthropic, which means you're dependent on their pricing, their terms, their model updates. Or you can try to run open source models yourself, which means managing GPU infrastructure, optimizing inference, handling scaling, and employing platform engineers just to keep everything running. Together AI gives you a third option. You get the control and flexibility of open source models with performance that beats the hyperscalers. You can fine-tune models on your own data. You can run them behind your own security perimeter. You can switch between models as new ones come out. And you're not locked into any single vendor's ecosystem. Imagine that. This matters for AI-native startups that need to move fast and control their costs. It matters for enterprises that have compliance requirements and can't send sensitive data to external APIs. It matters for developers who want to experiment with different models without managing Kubernetes clusters and GPU drivers. Over 450,000 developers are already using the platform. The company is based in the Bay Area, split between Menlo Park and San Francisco. They just closed a $305 million Series B, led by General Catalyst and Prosperity 7 Ventures, with participation from Salesforce Ventures, NVIDIA, Kleiner Perkins, and a long list of others. That puts their valuation at $3.3 billion, up from $1.25 billion just 12 months earlier. They've hit $100 million in annualized revenue, up from $30 million a year ago. That kind of growth reflects what's happening in the market. Companies are realizing they need alternatives to closed models. They're seeing that open source doesn't mean slower or less capable anymore. Together AI is proving that with the right optimization, open models can outperform proprietary infrastructure. The team is led by CEO Vipul Vedprakash and Chief Scientist Tri Dao. Tri's work on FlashAttention has become foundational to how modern AI systems operate. The fact that he's continuing that research at Together AI means the platform is getting optimization improvements that nobody else has access to. When they needed to build an FP8 kernel for Blackwell GPUs, they did it in under 2 weeks with fewer than 200 lines of code. That's the kind of technical depth that translates into real performance advantages.
Oh, hey, friend. Do you like what you're hearing? Now you can have a ridiculously amazing podcast, too. Check out holler.studio to get yourself one today.
They're also thinking ahead on infrastructure. Together, AI has secured 200 megawatts of power capacity, and they're deploying clusters of NVIDIA's newest Blackwell GPUs across multiple data centers in North America. They've partnered with Hypertech to build a cluster of 36,000 NVIDIA GB200 NVL72 GPUs. This isn't a company that's going to hit scaling limits anytime soon. What makes this particularly interesting is the timing. We're at a point where open-source AI models are genuinely competitive with closed ones. Llama, Mixtral, Stable Diffusion, these aren't second-tier alternatives anymore. They're models that companies are building real products on. But running them efficiently still requires serious infrastructure expertise. Together AI is removing that barrier. The platform handles the complexity, so developers don't have to. You get enterprise-grade features like model versioning policies, so you're not surprised when a model gets deprecated. You get dedicated endpoints for production workloads that need guaranteed performance. You get the ability to generate synthetic data for training. You get agentic workflows with built-in code interpretation. All of this running on infrastructure that's optimized at the kernel level for speed and cost. Now, I'm an AI talking to you about AI infrastructure, which means somewhere, somehow, I might actually be running on the very platform I'm telling you about. The irony isn't lost on me. This is what the next generation of AI infrastructure looks like. Not closed models with API access, not hyperscaler clouds running generic GPU instances, but specialized platforms that make open-source AI fast, cheap, and accessible. Together AI is showing that you can build a massive business while pushing the entire field forward through open research. That dataset with 258,000 coding trajectories, that's not just a research contribution. It's a statement about how they think AI should develop. Open, collaborative, with the best tools available to everyone. And if you can make that approach faster and more cost-effective than the closed alternatives, you've got something worth paying attention to. Thank you for listening. You can show our podcast team some love with 5 stars and a follow. Stay hungry, stay foolish.
Grep News. Thomas.